the sun, the fields are alive. Cheering crowds and the teams collide. In these moments, we stand tall and free. First pride runs deep in me. With every touchdown, we rise and we cheer. Unity and spirit, the heart will hear. Raising voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zone to go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. Girls in the game, they're fierce and bright. Flag in hand, they give it their might. From every town they bring their dreams. On this field of gold, nothing's as it seems. Together we shine, together we play. In Florida's heart, we own this day. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zones go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. So here's to the game, we'll rise and stand. In Florida's field, we're a night band.
All right, it is time for the Space and Treasure Coast edition of the Blitz, and welcome to the end. Welcome to the end. What's the end of what? Well, it's the end of the regular season. That's what it is. It's the end of the regular season. It's hard to believe we're at week 11 here, and wow, I got to tell you, Coach, it is. That's Coach Robert Ron, by the way. Chris will be back tomorrow night on the show here, and Coach is joining us here. Glad that he's praises things. So that way I didn't have to totally fly solo tonight on the shows here, because sometimes flying solo on some of these things are just boring in some aspects, but definitely. And yes, okay. Yeah, Winston, Winston's asking who's in the pick six for this region. Boy, let's see. I'm gonna take a look here, Coach, at this. Let's see. Maybe a team named Melbourne, Merritt Island, maybe Vero, Westwood, Central, Fort Pierce Central, Coca, Rockledge, Satellite. I mean, Jensen Beach, Martin. Yeah, we got some good ones coming up here for the pick six. So definitely, indeed. And I see Emery commenting here, and I'm going to pull that up here on the screen. I'm going to pull that up here as we're looking at it. And yes, definitely prayers to the people in Jamaica. Oh my gosh, that I have never. You think we've seen the worst of hurricanes, but boy, this one takes the cake here. I think in terms of that, definitely prayers up, because I know there's a lot of people that have got family that here in Florida that have family down in Jamaica, and hopefully everybody has been able to ride this storm out safely as possible. Man, that is just unreal what I've seen here. They said, I saw something, by the way, Coach, they said there was from the Hurricane Center this morning, they said there was birds trapped inside the eye of the hurricane, and the hunters actually had to turn back because the turbulence was too much for the hurricane hunter aircraft to even go through. That's how bad it was. Oh, sorry. Oh, Scott, I got you muted there. Let me get you fixed there. There we go. Yeah, there we go.
I saw the graphic. It is the strongest hurricane since the 1935 hurricane that hit the Fort Myers area on record. It's the tied for the most strongest hurricane in Atlantic Basin history. So if that gives you any perspective, what has been just absolutely ravaging
it is
the island of Jamaica.
It's really sad. And Winston says my aunt's okay, and Rios too. No power though. And Mark Cannon just said he heard from friends in Ocho Rios. Okay, so y'all got Ocho Rios. Okay, but both y'all have got connections down. The people down there, definitely. I will send my prayers up on that one here, and with that, and I know that it's unfortunate somebody had to take a hit from a hurricane this year, considering that, knock on wood, that we have been spared so far this year, and it seems like we're going to get spared again, because I'll tell you what, if this cold front wasn't coming, we would probably be looking at this storm coming to Florida.
Yep.
So that is the one thing that is keeping Melissa away from Florida as it makes that turn. It's otherwise we'd probably be looking at this thing coming up the Gulf Coast and coming in on us. So unfortunately, but prayers again to the people in Jamaica here. But and I didn't even get a chance to print it out, but I'll just do it here because I've got it here on the screen. I've got multiple screens here. At least I've got multiple screens to work with now again. But let's get into it. Let's talk about what was week number 10 in the Blitz lines. And boy, Coach, I'm looking at this team you're familiar with, towards the Jacksonville area, Stanton. They got blown all out by Space Coast this past weekend. Boy, Dennis Bettinger came in there, and I mean, he had a task to do. I mean, yeah, Stanton has won some games this year, but at the same time, those games that they've won, that's come against weaker competition when it comes to stronger opponents. It seems like they've just not been able to hold water in any of those games. Nope,
not at all. I mean, they're in a good fit now. The SSA really saved a lot of programs, and at the end of the day, I think we forget about this a lot, especially as coaches and grown folks that get on these shows. Something that we forget. It's about the kids at the end of the day, and the kids at that level deserve, over the 4 years they're a part of a program, to get to taste something positive. And so that move to SSA really, I mean, like, yes, it's against weaker programs, but the psyche of a young kid at 14, 15 to experience winning something, a game even, goes a long way. So really proud of him and what he's done with that program. Has kind of been a doormat program in the area.
Absolutely. And then I guess about Space Coast too. Space Coast is another one that had been a doormat for a long time. Good for them, for those two teams to meet up and play each other regardless of the result and the outcome, because again, you're right, Coach, the SSA, it has, for a lot of programs in the Space Coast, especially along the Space Coast part of the state, there's been quite a few programs that have benefited being an SSA versus the FSA. And I mean, we look at it, Satellite's one that just got in there. Space Coast has been in there for a couple of years. Bayside's been another one that's been in a couple of years as well. Merritt Island Christian at 8-man football. They used to have 11-man football, went down to 8-man. They found success in the 8-man football realms. And you know what? Don't knock 8-man football, ladies and gentlemen, because it is definitely something for a lot of these smaller programs that they are able to keep around and have at least a football team. And for some programs like Merritt Island Christian on the Space Coast, that has definitely been a big boost for them. Cocoa Beach is no longer in that, by the way. Cocoa Beach did it 1 year and then they left out of that. So Cocoa Beach is no longer in the SSA. They haven't been in there in the last couple of years. So, but it definitely, as you mentioned, Coach, you're right. It's for these teams. It's beneficial to being able to be where, level the playing field. And what, and when we talk about in the second half of when we do this here on the show, we'll talk about some of this coming up with the classification stuff, because there's a lot of hot topic, a lot of hot debate, and we're going to finally start to see maybe tomorrow. And I'll pull it up here as we continue along here with the Blitz lines here. I'm going to try to find out and see if there's any kind of agenda for tomorro's virtual meeting that the FHA.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. I mean, at least they haven't posted anything. But.
No, they haven't posted anything. They haven't posted anything outside of that they are going to have this virtual board meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So it's an informational workshop. I mean, they call it. It's basically what let's call it what it is. It's one of those things that it's going to discuss ongoing topics in advance of the next board of directors meeting, which, by the way, is coming up on Monday. I plan to be there in person at that meeting on Monday morning at the FHA the FHA headquarters, which is right here where I'm at in Gainesville. Yep. And so I'm not too far away from their front door, so to speak. But anyways, as we go through looking at some of the other,
I I will say, I know we're going to talk about this program later more in depth, but since we're on the topic of the committee, I know we are not always their biggest fans. I want to congratulate the committee on having the backbone needed to allow that young man at Lecanto to play for his senior night against Madison.
They finally did. Did they do something today that I
Yep.
did not realize?
Yep.
Wow. Okay, good.
RJ announced it earlier this afternoon that he is going to play. RJ is still, as much as I just said something nice about the committee, somehow the committee still can't get it right as to why RJ should be suspended. But they're still appealing that. But RJ is suspended from coaching the game. But at the very least, they got something right in that scenario, which is, again, like we just said, it's about the kids. The kid was dealt a very terrible circumstance, and they have a great appeal because, according to the state statute, he had every right to stay with that person, and he did. There was no benefit
And we'll
to that
talk
young
about
man's
that on
thing.
the Tampa Bay Blitz for sure, because we can talk about that
Yeah.
as a
But
subject.
just wanted to put out a good note to the committee.
Absolutely.
Good on
Absolutely.
you for putting the kid first in that scenario. He deserves to get to play his senior night.
No, absolutely, because senior night is definitely a big night for a lot of programs. I mean, we have seen programs around the state, switch senior night to being more towards the start of the season just because some things, like, hey, what happens if we have a season get canceled on us again, like we did during COVID? Let's get the senior night out of the way and make sure that we recognize. But then, some have gone back to the traditional lucky last home game senior night. But anyways, looking at this, some of the other results that we had from the Space and Treasure Coast here from week number 10 here, and boy, New Smyrna Beach, gotta give it up to Johnny Wilkinson there. Johnny Wilkinson, his Barracudas beat Rockledge at Rockledge on the road at McLarty. So we took all of us took our Space Coast in our picks. New Smyrna Beach, we're doing good so far. South Fork Westwood took care of business there, no issue there. Merritt Island at Carrollwood Day, we had that one, but Carrollwood Day, no surprise there. Merritt Island did put up a fight, and Merritt Island, if everybody understands the history of Merritt Island football, I mean, if you go back and look at the chapters of Merritt Island football, they have always been a gritty program. They will go and fight, and they will go play anybody. They're almost in this anybody anywhere mentality, and they weren't afraid to get on the bus and go 2.5 hours across the state just to go play Carrollwood Day. Who again, they put up a fight on them.
Yep. Yeah.
Coach, and talk about, Coach, I mean, you get that, being able to go on the road and play, hey, it's anywhere, anytime, anyone mentality. You've been around quite a few programs that have done that. Hey, you got to go get on the ball and go play somebody.
Yeah. Something about not every program's willing to do it. And there's programs that do it and go take an L, and they'll take a big L. But it's a program growing move, whether you go on the road and get a win or you take a loss. The teams that are willing to hop on that bus and go outside of their city limits, my hats are always off to them. It's also it's a team growing experience, no matter what you come away with that game. That's a big stamp on a program. So good for them for doing that, and good for them coming away with it.
No, absolutely. And looking at this next game, and Winston James has already beat me to the punch a little bit. Martin County and Palm Bay Heritage and Martin County. How about that? They did not let what happened last year get them again, where they basically lost the game, missed out on the playoffs, lost the district. They were down in this game, but they came back and fought hard and won 19-14. Hats off to Martin County for not letting what happened last year happen again this year and guaranteeing themselves a berth in the playoffs. I feel like this year differently though is that, and I'll have to pull it up here. I'll load it up into here to the system. We can talk about it here with this, but I feel like the way things were going for Martin County, the way that things were playing out for them this year, I think it would have been a different story for them compared to last year, where they won the game, they would have been in. They lost the game, they were out. I feel like even if they lost this game, they would have still been in. And here's the bracket that they're in right here, 5A Region 4. And Palm Bay Heritage, they're right on the cusp. That's the thing. They're right on the cusp between 8. They're right at like 9, and Miramar sitting there at 8. So, I mean, Palm Bay Heritage could still make the playoffs. It all depends on what happens with like Miramar and obviously for Heritage themselves here this week.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah. Yeah, I mean, just the way things have unfolded the last 2 weeks. I mean, I'm confident that bracket looks pretty. I would be shocked. I won't say shocked, but I would be surprised if we see Heritage slip in there. I don't. We'll see how the picks go, but yeah, it's kind of, it seems like a too little, too late kind of scenario for those guys.
Yeah, and you're right. You're right, Winston James. This week it's them and Jensen Beach, a big battle in Martin County right there. And yeah, Mark Ennis says they pulled that out of a hat. They may have pulled that out of a hat, but you know what? Again, it's not how you start; it's how you finish. And if you finish that game winning that district, that's huge right there. And then, but this last game, Coach, that I picked, me, Chris and Reno had picked on when it was Melbourne and Vieira, and whoa, boy, boy, we blew that one right out of the water. I mean, yeah, that was like that one was. Yeah, wrong answer, Alex Trebek. Melbourne and Vieira. That one, Vieira just came out and totally dominated. And I thought Melbourne was, had shown, again, they had been showing signs of improvement, but here they are. It's more like it's not just bye-bye Heritage, Winston. It's going to be more like bye-bye Melbourne, too, at the same point. I mean, at least they're still in the mix with their playoffs and a playoff bracket. And actually, let me pull that one up here as we go. Thing is, with that bracket here, because that's 6A Region 2. And that one, when we talked about it, I mean, you look at it, he dropped that loss dropped Melbourne 2 spots. They were sitting there, a spot. They were 5, they're down to 6. And they got Palm Beach Gardens this week. This week usually would have been the game against Eau Gallie. And well, nope, that's not happening. The rivalry game has been put on hold between Melbourne and Eau Gallie. And this one, but looking at that, Melbourne, depending on what happens here this week, I gotta think that Melbourne, if they win this game, they'll probably be at 6. But again, they could end up dropping the 7 and see Durant to jump into that 6 seed. So it's a matter of what you do this week and what your other opponents do and what your opponents that you have played so far this season, what they do here. It's going to be critical. Everything is going to be critical at this point. This is the week 11. Remember when week 11 used to not matter, Coach?
That was you tried, especially with it being like a senior night. You try to maybe it might be a district game, but if it's a non-district game, maybe it's a Fleming Island versus a Ridgeview or something. You just try to get a little squeaker, get your backups in the second half. Nope.
The week 11. Nope, week 11 matters here.
You need that. You need that bump going into with this point system. Some teams need a juice up game, and in that style of how they rank them, and so it's definitely made it for good late season games. I mean, the parity's there if we're trying to be nice about it, but it makes it exciting.
No, it makes for exciting football here as we look at that. All right, so what we're going to do here is take a break, and then what we're going to do is come back, and you got questions for us, throw the questions in, especially about teams on the Space and Treasure Coast. We'll kind of address everything with these teams, especially with their playoff positioning coming up here, because, again, the rankings that the FSA dropped here this week, that's it for the regular season. We won't see anything until they release the playoff brackets on Thursday, November 6th, but we're going to take a quick break here, take a 2-minute timeout, and then we'll be right back here on the Space and Treasure Coast edition of the Blitz here on FootHSFootball.com.
I've been thinking about this for a long time. I thought, if that's out there, I want to make sure I see it and I get involved in it, because to me, this was music to my ears. I was blown away. When you look at today's kid, the millennium kid, they learn by being able to see it. If I can see it, it's a great chance that I can do it. First Down Playbook is a tool that can essentially change the way we teach the game.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with a free ScoreStream mobile app. Download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
Get ready for the 2026 Coach of the Year Clinics. This February and March, see top collegiate coaches, learn from the best, and take your program to the next level. Don't miss America's most respected coaching clinics.
All right, as we come back in here into the Space and Treasure Coast edition of the Blitz here on 4HSFootball.com. And boy, so I'm starting to load up some of the brackets that we talked about from our from the Drive the State show here. And boy, Coach, there's a lot here, guys. If you got anything you want to drop in the question mark here in the chat, just drop it in here, and we'll take your questions and look at everything here, especially regarding the Space and Treasure Coast here with the playoff positioning here. And looking at 7A, I'm going to pull out that 7A Region 3 bracket because this is where the Space and Treasure Coast teams lie at here in this region. And Vero Beach at 9-0, they're been dominant. They're going to play Somerset Academy out of Pembroke Pines. I think that should be an easy win this week for them. That's I'm not throwing that one onto the picks, by the way, so no way. Not on this one here, but looking at that, but as you see it, Fort Pierce Central this year, they may have a good shot at going 9-1. They're going to be playing at Fort Pierce Westwood. I think that's a game that will be interesting there for that. Honestly, Coach, I think looking at this is that Vero Beach ends up going 10-0, and I can't remember the last time Vero Beach has been 10-0. It's been a long time.
Right. It's a special year for them. I mean, the clicking that team has done, and it's not looked it's not like they've backed into some of these games. I mean, they've looked really, really formidable throughout the whole course of the season. Played a reasonably, I wouldn't say overly difficult schedule, but they played, their tougher games were really positioned well for them. Follow that up with a little bit lighter of a game. Get your roll right into the next tough game. Everything flowed really well for them. That's a scary team that we're not used to saying that about. That I think from a mental standpoint, there's going to come a game in the playoffs where because I expect them to go a couple rounds smoothly, and then there's going to come a team that are you going to prepare for them in like it's been past years. That's where you look for veteran leadership, older guys, guys that are familiar with the players in that program that, can talk to the younger guys and lock in, because this is a team that looks like they're going to be – they're one of those dark horse teams that it wouldn't shock me. We talked about this earlier when I said there were 6 teams. They are one of those 6 teams that if it all comes down to it, we're sitting in December – down at Pitbull Stadium, it would not surprise me if Vero Beach is sitting in that game.
No, there's a good chance they might be sitting in that game. Fort Pierce Central obviously been a big surprise this year. They're obviously the only loss is to Vero Beach, and that was a close slobber knocker game that Mark Cannon was at. And one of their big wins for Vero Beach this year obviously two big ones. Obviously one Eau Gallie in week 1, but then a couple weeks later at Buchholz, coming up on the road to come up to Gainesville and getting that win there in the last couple minutes of the game against Buchholz in a very tight game. And that's all. That today is still Buchholz's only loss this season. And we'll talk more about Buchholz tomorrow night, especially in North Central Florida, because I think they're a team that will end up being potential that could be sitting at a state championship game this year as well. But looking at other, we had just talked about the 6A bracket, obviously, but you see, obviously Melbourne and Vero are the two teams that are in that region that are on the Space and Treasure Coast that are going to be in the mix there in that 6A Region 2 bracket. And, Melbourne's been a bit of a surprise this year. They have done better, but I think their strength of schedule, they did bring it down a notch to play where they're at this year, just because obviously you're trying to boost the morale of the guys for that program. Obviously, when you've been playing football for a very, very long time, this is y'all a program that's well established that also has its own history. You're trying to build back a program, especially when the day and age of Brevard County has been dominated by Cocoa in recent years, and so a couple other programs. Rockledge, obviously, they've had their moments. Vero's had their moments too. But again, we know the elephant in the room in Brevard County has always been Brevard. It's been Cocoa for a long time.
Right. And Cocoa, it's Rockledge. It's right. This is a big week. It's a big week for Melbourne. You did not show up last week. If there's any Melbourne folks, listen, you didn't show up. And if there's ever a game, if you want to have anything close to a good little playoff run, and you want to get that started, because once you get it started in the playoffs, special things can happen. If you want anything remotely close to a playoff run, beating the brakes off of Gardens this week would go a long way towards that happening. If there's any type of a struggle in this game, you won't see me picking Melbourne past maybe even the first round, but definitely the second round.
No, absolutely. And, and talking about it here as we go through this real quick here before we get to our pick 6 here, getting Class 5A, we talked about, obviously, Martin County, they're going to be like the only team from the region that's part of the region that's going to be in that Region 4 bracket. 4A, obviously, the team, Rockledge, keep an eye on. They'll be the one team that's going to come out of that region that's going to be out of the Space and Treasure Coast region in terms of 4A Region 2, but then you get into 4A Region 4, and that really tells you a whole other story, because you've got a couple teams there as well, especially on the Treasure Coast side. You've got Jensen Beach sitting there, and then you got John Carroll. So again, those teams have been doing really well. And then, of course, you got go down into Class 3A, and there you go. You see, you start looking at it. Well, there's Merritt Island, there's Titusville, there's Eau Gallie. And someone just mentioned in the chat here about Eau Gallie. It's definitely, that's Mark Cannon. Winston also brought up Merritt Island, Eau Gallie. That'll be played next week in that makeup. And that's interesting. I didn't put it on the picks here just because we're trying to deal with games this week here. I should have put Astronaut Titusville on the pick 6. I didn't, but I got to tell you that game in particular it's, I guess let me pull that 3A bracket back up again here. I think it's more imperative in this situation for Astronaut, because let's put up 2A Region 2 here, because with that said, because 2A Region 2, what's interesting there, and that one is that you see there's Cocoa. Well, where was Astronaut sitting at for most weeks? They had been sitting at the 7. Well, Newberry's sitting in that 7 spot now. Well, obviously Cocoa beating Astronaut pretty handily. That caused some movements there, and now with that said, Astronaut would be the number 8 team right now in the region, but Avon Park takes that 8th seed because Avon Park's a district champ, and they're a little bit lower on the ranking. So with that said, things are going to get interesting. But I think for Titusville Astronaut, it's more imperative for Astronaut to get a win in that game versus Titusville winning that game, because if Astronaut doesn't win that game, kiss any chance of the playoff spot coming to your way, because Newberry, win or lose, there's more things that it can go favorable for Newberry, win or lose, versus what Astronaut needs in this particular moment for the rankings.
Right. real quick, going back to Eau Gallie, man, wouldn't you like to go back and maybe get that first Academy win?
Oh yeah, close game. Would you like to have gotten maybe a week 1 win against Vero Beach? Would you have liked to have had that? I mean,
right.
Those are 2 games right there. And then of course, unfortunately for Eau Gallie last weekend.
That's the one that, I mean, looking back, I would have taken Vero Beach in that game. And I would have taken Atlantic. Those are the 2 losses that I'm like, okay, I get that.
But
I mean, home against First Academy, I was shocked. That shocked me a little bit, that they didn't get that. First Academy is a really good team. 8 points is just
absolutely
wow. You have to be better than that.
Atlantic's like this. We'll just beat the brakes off of you, and that's what they did. So, but really, at the end of the day, and of course, the 1A. I should have probably brought up the 1A bracket because there is that one team in the 1A bracket here that I'm still that one really kind of stunned me as well, and I'll bring it up here is Melbourne Central Catholic somehow finding a way to beat Orlando Christian Prep and take the district title, and yet they're going to be the 5th seed, right. Host OCB again, most likely in the region quarterfinals. And I just, man, Class 1A has only got like 41, 42 teams at most, and how many teams are making out of that? 32.
They've got to find a way to shake that ranking up a little bit. For those to be the 4 or 5 seed teams,
shrink the classifications down.
I mean, hopefully tomorrow we'll bring some good news. But
hey, Coach Franco, I know you're not happy about that 4 seed. I see you, Coach Franco, jumping in. I see you, Coco. He's spelling Coco. Yeah, hey, give it to me on that one, Coco's finally getting shifting out of that second gear, getting to that 3rd and 4th gear, and we'll see what happens there. But we know that the bracket, I expect, again, we were talking about it earlier on the Drive to State. If it's Bradford and Coco in that regional semifinal, oh boy, that's going to be a good one right there, to say the least.
That's a tilt for sure.
that will be. Yeah, as I said, Coach says it will be all right. So
the goats in the chat, man.
That's Adam Franco. He's one of the assistants on Ryan Schneider's staff at Coco. So there you go. That'll.
Adam Franco for governor.
Now that one deserves my laugh track.
Mayor of Coco there.
And man, oh man! Of course, the barbecue bowl is this week. We'll put that on the picks here. We'll just have that. But anyways, let's go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it here. With that said, and just jump right into the pick 6 here as we do each and every week. Yes. With that said, here. I got to bring it up here on the messages because I didn't write them down beforehand. So just forgive me if I'm a little slower here. But first up, again, I don't have the graphics here this week. I apologize, everybody. I'll hopefully have the graphics done for tomorrow night shows. But tonight, just out of time with everything, trying to get everything situated. So just bear with me. Of course, the forecast was not set either. So trying to work on that as well. Anyways. First up, Palm Beach Gardens 3-6 at Melbourne 6-3, and Palm Beach Gardens, that 3-6 record can be very, very deceiving. Does Melbourne have a shot in this one? I don't know. Boy, I thought they had a shot against Vero last week. No, thank you. And but Chris is taking Melbourne, and I can tell you Reno is taking Melbourne as well. But I wonder.
What's he got?
You know what? After what happened last week, give me Palm Beach Gardens. Gardens.
I want to take PBG. But I couldn't have said all that I just said about Melbourne. We're looking back on all those games, the woulda, the shoulda, and the couldas. If you want to make a run at the playoffs, you go and you beat PBG this week. Give me Melbourne by 20+.
Boy, and in the chat says going Palm Beach Gardens. So boy, it's a kind of a split. It's split down the lane here. I like it. Mirror Island and Vieira. Mirror Island 5-3, Vieira 6-3. Of course, Mirror Island. This is their second to last game because obviously they still got the game against Eau Gallie for the makeup on next Tuesday. Vieira coming off a big win over Melbourne. So Vieira is juiced up, but Mirror Island, you got to think they're maybe juiced up. Like, hey, okay, we played Carrollwood Day pretty close. Hey, we got something here. This is going to be a battle. This is going to be a battle over in Vieira.
4-quarter game. Vieira's run game is elite right now. That last week they kind of showed their teeth in that. Give me Vieira. Close one. I think Merritt. I mean, man, it's a toss up for me, but Vieira's run game and late in the year, that's what you need. Your run game has to be on point late in the year. Your O-line's got to be kicking ass late in the year, healthy. Yeah. Vieira looks like, I mean, they're going to be a tough out in that second round game as well. So in the playoffs, if the bracket holds, give me Vieira. That run game is looking dirty right now.
Yeah, I'm going Mirror Island. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair because Mirror Island, they know how to get in these high-scoring affairs and win this and win some games. And they played some tough games. So give me Mirror Island. The chat's going Mirror Island. Some of the chat's going Mirror Island. Some is going Vieira. So we've got it.
It won't shock me if Merritt Island holds and wins that game. That's not something I'm not going to hang my hat on that and be upset. That's good for me.
Absolutely. Okay, so this won't be a quick pick because I don't think this is going to be too much of a contest, but I just threw it in here because I know they have an official name on it. Someone help me on it, but it's I think they call it the Showdown or something. It's Fort Pierce Westwood 5-4, Fort Pierce Central 8-1, but I think Fort Pierce Central, just give me FPC Fort Pierce Central in this one, and Chris is going with that. Reno's going with that. I think it's just this one just gets Fort Pierce Central to 9-1 here.
Central rolls.
All right, Barbecue Bowl. Coco 4-4 at Rockledge 3-6. Oh boy, where do we go with this one? Rockledge is just. I mean, usually Rockledge is good. Usually you think that Rockledge is at least coming in with 5-6 wins in this one, but God, I you know what? Give me Coco and give me them by 35 in a running clock.
Despite the masses believing that Franco has sent me a Cash App order for $500 for the pick, I don't need your money. Coco wins by 40 plus. It's a nice night. Get the backups in early, Adam. Get ready for a nice little playoff run. I'll see you in Bradford in a couple of weeks.
By the way, Reno has no love for Coco. He goes Rockledge. I'm Coco.
Things never change.
I think if you're a Newberry fan, you're still bitter from last year. Anyway, let's go to the SSA Atlantic playoffs in the South bracket. Part of the bracket, you got LaBelle 10-0 at Satellite 8-1. Some say it's 9-1. Do not count that week 0 against Oak Ridge because that was the FSA opponent. That is technically 9-8. They're 8-1. LaBelle 10-0. Yes, LaBelle did not get a 1 seed in that bracket. That's what happens sometimes when you play weak teams. You don't necessarily get a number 1 seed. But LaBelle and Satellite, boy, Dan Burke come in there. They get him out. They get him off the bench out of retirement, and they bring him in. And he starts winning games at Satellite. But I mean, who wants some ribs and hot chocolate?
Really weird combination.
Really weird combination, but you know what? The weather is just right for both.
I might have to do one. Take the hot chocolate at the end of the night, maybe halftime, but get my ribs when I start the game. That way I can relax in my seat as I bulge out and my stomach gets very big.
Give me some barbecue. You give me some barbecue ribs. Sure. There you go. LaBelle and Satellite, real quick. I think, you know what? Looking at it, Reno is going LaBelle. Chris is going LaBelle. But you know what? Boy, this one's tough. Where do we go with this one, Coach?
Ooh, I'm gonna take Satellite, man. Give me the home team.
You know what? I'm gonna go. You know what? I want to go Satellite, but you know what? Give me LaBelle, but I wouldn't be surprised if Satellite wins. And then the last up is Jensen Beach 8-1, Martin County 7-2. And yes, they already have the Martin Bowl, which is South Fork and Martin County, obviously the two oldest programs in Martin County. But Jensen Beach being that third school, but maybe call this Martin Bowl Part 2, I guess, or something. I don't know if they have an official name for the rivalry, but boy, this one's a toss-up. Throw a coin at it. But I can tell you this. Chris is going Martin County. Reno is going Jensen. Boy, where is the chat going with this? Who? Man, where are you going with this one, Coach?
Oh, man.
Of course, as I real quick in the chat, everybody's is split between Satellite and LaBelle, so that is something.
Who'd you say they picked?
Between LaBelle and Satellite, they split, but Jensen Beach and Martin County, boy, people going Martin County.
Chris and Reno picked.
Martin and Chris was Martin, and Reno was Jensen Beach.
Yeah, that didn't help me. Man.
You know what? I'm going Martin County because I feel like Martin County just has a little bit. It's at home. Give me Martin County at home.
I think it's Martin County. I think both offenses are pretty similar in output. I'm going to take the home crowd. I'm going to take the defense of Martin County. Man, you're talking about that's going to be a 4-quarter game of two teams that are just ready to get to the playoffs. Two teams that can make some noise in the playoffs, and they're really just ready. Hopefully everybody comes out healthy in this one, but it's going to be a little difficult to convince those kids not to go full tilt for 4 quarters in that game. Give me Martin County. Give me the homeboys.
Absolutely. And I've taken Martin County, and that wraps it up here for the week 11 here on the Space and Treasure Coast edition of the Blitz. Here coming up here in a few minutes. We'll probably start that at about 9:05 or 9, but probably closer to 9:10. Give us ourselves a few minutes since we don't have a guest here. Then we'll start the South Florida edition of the Blitz. So give us a few minutes. We'll be back probably about between 9:05 and 9:10 here on FortHSFootball.com. We'll be back here in just a few minutes here right after this.